There are two ways to look at King. Either he is exactly what the story shows and is a complete fraud with no ability, no power, and no right being anywhere near S-Class. Or he is God level, up there with Blast and Saitama in being ridiculously overpowered. King's character trope is not too uncommon in shonen stories, but it is the first time there is a real, genuine confliction over not just the power, but the actual writing of this man. The person that came to mind when I first saw King initially was Hercule, Mr. Satan of a similar idea. However, whereas Hercule is weak and has gotten beaten on screen by the likes of Kid Trunks and Cell, King has never taken a loss on screen ever since he got that scar on his eye, no matter what the situation. At the end of Dragon Ball's Buu saga, Hercule helped save the world through his influence and friendship with Majin Buu. Despite how weak he was, without him, Goku and Vegeta would have been killed. I remember back to when he was 1v1ing Kid Buu and he was just dodging his attacks while begging for his life. An element of luck was always on Hercule's side. King takes this concept, and this is where the genius of one's writing really comes into play. He takes this concept and turns it into something that could actually be considered a real power. The power of ultimate luck. Since a certain event, the day King got his scar, he has not only never lost a fight, but never been scratched. Respected by every other S-Class hero, even the likes of Tatsumaki, and rose all the way up to Class S rank 7, being known as the strongest man in the world. Being promoted around the same time Saitama made his first appearance in C-Class, rising to rank 7 is symbolic because in mythology, the number 7 is connected to luck, and that's why the phrase lucky number 7 is a thing. Clearly, I've been reading a lot of One Punch Man recently, and King is someone who holds a special place in the eyes of pretty much everyone, and I think it's one of the best examples of One's incredible character writing in making even the audience question King's own statements. From the moment we are first properly introduced to him, it is very clearly shown to us, the overseers of this story, that King is a self-admitted fraud, and he was always just in the right place at the right time, taking credit for most of Saitama's feats of strength. Basically, how us, the audience, would react if we ran into Saitama is how characters in this universe react to seeing King. A lot of the time they just give up, even in some instances just straight up dying because of how scared they are at the idea of him. At first this was seen as a gag, in the same way that at first it seemed like it was a gag that Saitama one-shot literally everyone. But then the story continued, and it began happening so frequently and so consistently that the joke works in favor to not only protect him physically, but it also protects others from knowing the truth until the end of time. King's power is the power of absolute luck, strong enough to stumble his way through almost any encounter and come out of it looking heroic in the eyes of everyone, a reality-bending power that no matter what the situation is, King will come out of it unharmed. The writing of One's is so meta that it comes across as a joke, and for the most part it is. However, there are multiple examples of this throughout the manga and webcomic. For instance, when King was first introduced, he comes across the monster Tongue Stretcher, and with his sheer presence alone, intimidates this monster without doing anything other than look at him. The beings in this world view King as the stand-in for Saitama. It even gets commented on later by Genos that King is how Saitama would be valued in the Hero Association if things weren't intentionally written the way they are. He then gets confronted by an emotionless robot that his King engine has no effect on, but he is charismatic enough to stall time for Genos and Saitama to be there to truly handle the situation while he runs home. While his King engine is only just his heartbeat pounding so fast because of how scared he is, to others his heartbeat pounding fast is a representation of his actual internal engine, his fierce and dominant aura radiating throughout his body. While it is King being terrified on the inside, on the outside, it emits fear to his enemies. Funny enough, and intentionally enough, Saitama is the only one to see King for who he truly is. A manga-reading, anime-watching gamer. Almost feels like a self-insert. Ironically, King is really good at gaming, and is shown to always beat Saitama, sometimes only using 2 fingers. And believe it or not, this is more of his luck being showcased again, as most of the times these games come down to luck, and as King is immune to probability, he will always win. King's own statements reveal that he feels that he has always been unlucky, and now even more so that monsters are targeting him due to his Class S ranking. This proves that King is not even aware of his own abilities and suffers severe mental blockage and guilt over this power, similar to Saitama in some ways, but not directly. Many years ago, the creator of One Punch Man 1 stated on his Twitter that King has an aura that is mistaken for being strong, but it is a chain that binds him. Rough translation, but pretty much confirming that there is something more to King than just being a random person. It is a luck-based aura that can bend reality to his advantage. This allows him to live life without much consequences, if any. His aura alone will protect him from mostly anything, whether he is aware of it or not. King was forcibly recruited into the Hero Association. Unlike everyone else who had to go through the fitness and written exam, King was just given an S-Class certificate due to his accomplishments of simply being around in place of Saitama. It all sounds crazy. King is lucky, sure, but is it actually a power? Is it something tangible that exists? Well, according to one, yes it is, it's an aura. But later in the Monster Association arc, we see King being surrounded by 4 disaster-level dragon beings that were prepared to fight him together. King, despite not having any physical powers, managed to walk away completely unscathed and had them each too scared to battle him, even with the advantage that they all had, all while thinking to himself that he's going to die. Homeless Emperor had the power of a god within him and was talked down by King, making him second guess and doubt himself, driving him insane, to the point where he has a borderline mental breakdown until Zombie Man comes from the dead and takes him out, all while King just stood there and uttered a few words. Against Platinum S, down to the exact millisecond, just as King is about to get killed, Garo snaps on the battlefield and wipes out every monster in under a second and takes the fight away from King. These are some of the strongest monsters that we've seen in the story, and King confronted all 4 of them at once, and he walked away completely unharmed and came out of it looking good. This aura of his does not only work on weak people, it works on the strong, it works on the heroes, it works on anyone. Now, in the Dark Timeline, Garo was able to kill King, along with the rest of the world, showing that his luck isn't impenetrable. However, it should be noted that King never actually came up against Garo face to face, and this was literally a world-ending event that didn't really have anything to do with him directly. Post-Monster Association, King is confronted by Atomic Samurai, who really pushes him, and this is just insane. For the first time, King gets questioned over his strength by another S-Class hero, as Atomic Samurai has never actually seen it with his own eyes. So now King is put into a position where he is not able to get out of this and has to face it head on. How will his aura react to this? Atomic Samurai wants to see King's skill up front, and throughout this entire interaction, King is obviously freaking out, internally screaming for help, but to others, look how this is drawn, it comes across as intimidating. Atomic Samurai is adamant in challenging King to a fight, but due to King's insane level of charisma, he rambles about the weather for a bit and convinces everyone that fighting each other isn't necessary, and instead, Atomic Samurai settles for this apple cutting trial to see the life King has lived. And so King just sits there with this katana, not even able to pull it out. 2.5 minutes go by, and he just puts it on the ground and leaves. Doesn't say anything, doesn't even cut the apple, just walks off without facing them because he was so embarrassed. But to Atomic Samurai and his crew, they are in a state of paralysis over this feat. They perceived King moving so fast that the apple itself didn't even know it had been cut. Moving so fast that he vibrated through the atoms and left the katana unaware that it had been used. From this day, Atomic Samurai views King as the strongest man in the world just like everyone else. And this, once again, is his luck or aura on full display. Soon after this, it is revealed that King is literally unable to reveal the truth to people. His aura is so strong that when he went to go and tell a retired Bang, he could not see through the aura and just didn't believe him. King outright told the former Class S Rank 3 martial artist Bang that he isn't who everyone thinks he is and that he would like to train and get stronger. But Bang does not believe him. Even when outright stating that he is weak and everything is a lie, King's aura makes it look like he's actually just being somewhat humble in this moment and being vulnerable as this all-powerful man, afraid of not meeting everyone's massive expectations. This goes back to his charisma. Everyone in the series, no matter who it is, gets along or is impressed with King. It doesn't matter if it's a hero, a villain, or anyone. Whether he recognizes it or not, King is coded with a luck-based power that in the series protects him from pretty much anything. When asked whether King will ever get any major powers like Blast or Saitama, Yusuke Murata stated that that would ruin his charm, and he wouldn't be King anymore. So King isn't going to have a Saitama-based transformation or unlock some sort of latent physical ability. He already has everything he needs, and that is why in a lot of ways he is similar to Saitama, and it's no coincidence that they get along so well. But that's just King, a unique take on a common trope. No matter what the story tries to imply, King is just about as overpowered as they come. Regardless of the situation he is in, he will always be written to either stall, shock, or impress the people around him with very little effort. I wouldn't even be surprised one day that if by the end of One Punch Man's story, people would discover the truth about Saitama, and then Saitama would say something like, yeah, well, King has beaten me over 80 times while only using 2 fingers, referring to in a video game, but that just makes everyone go even more nuts over him. King has shown interest in getting stronger, however that isn't his power. In the same way Saitama got too strong, King has the inverse problem, literally. Saitama got too strong and almost zero recognition, while King, no matter how hard he trains, he will not get physically stronger. But he will still get all the recognition. That is the power of King.